Hi, it's Wanny at CDWanny on YouTube. If you like humorous or adventure told in story form, then this is the place for you. You come to the right place because that's what we do. We tell stories, and I promise I'll do my best to try to get a chuckle out of you. Today's story takes place, as you can see by my shirt. We were on vacation in a tropical environment down in Jamaica, and I was threatened with the loss of my leg not once but 2 times on this trip, and it was quite a fun story. But I really got to preface this story. I used to drink, and I used to drink a lot, and I'm 9 years sober now, so it's not an issue anymore. But in this story, yeah, I was being kind of a jerk, and you can attribute it to alcohol, but yeah, I was a jerk, but it had its humorous side too. So just bear with me. Alright, so before we get to the story, I gotta tell you, if you enjoy this channel, be sure and subscribe. Give that like button a little tickle. And if you want to be notified when future stories come out, be sure and hit the bell. And by the way, if you have any stories of your own that are humorous, adventuresome, whatever, be sure and email them to me at cdwanny@yahoo.com. And those are going to be down in the description below. Just email me those stories. I'll pour over the stories that come in, and I will give you full credit for your story. I will not make it my own, but I will tell your story and we'll get it up here. Okay, so here's today's story. We had went down to Jamaica and we were having a great time. The whole trip we were having a blast. We went ziplining. This Canadian ship had come in. They had sustained some damage to their ship. They just went through a hurricane, so they were letting all their guys off. And so we were hanging out with the Canadian sailors and just having a great time with those guys. And about the 3rd rotation, some guy walks up to me and he goes, "Hey man, are you Seattle Chris?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm from the Canadian boat, and they told me to hook you up, for me to hook up with you if you wanted to get, just crazy and do weird." So I don't know. We were just, at one point we had guys jumping out of the balconies off of palm trees into the pool. Things just got out of hand. The Canadians, they were threatened to be kicked out of the hotel we were staying at, and I was threatening myself getting kicked out because things just were getting out of hand. And yeah, that's because, all right, well, the place we were staying, it's an all-inclusive resort. And so all the alcohol, all the alcohol you could drink, they weren't charging us for it. So we just, hey, if this glass even begins to look partially empty, fill it up, And so I was sustained on a basic diet of rum pretty much the entire time we were there. But partying with those guys and going out and doing our own activities, this trip was just flying off the charts. And we had booked an ATV trip, and it seemed like kind of a calm, pleasant way to spend the day. But back in those days, calm and pleasant was not the way I spent my days. I had to do something to twist it, to wrinkle it, to do something. So anyway, we're out there. We're all lined up on our ATVs, and we're moseying through the the Jamaican countryside, and over here's the cane fields, and over here's the coffee, and over here, and the tour guide's pointing out stuff. And my oldest son is beside me, and I go, "Hey man, slow down." And he goes, "Dad, we're only doing like 5 miles an hour." I said, "Do 3. So he backs it way down, and we're only doing 3 miles an hour. And the rest of the tour gets about 200 yards ahead of us. And I go, "Now, open it up." We take off, and we're going through these mud. And they got video along the way. Someone's taking our video pictures. And you can see my wife, my daughter, my other son, everybody on the tour. They're going through these mud holes, and they're throwing out these little 2-inch waves. They're just adorable. Me and my other son, we go plowing through these mud holes, and it's just a sheet of mud going over us. And we are just wearing this place out. Well, we get to a rest stop up on this hill that just has a beautiful overlook. and we're out there, we're drinking water, resting up, and the tour guide comes up to me, and he sticks his fist in my face, and he goes, "Hey man, slow down. I won't have any more of that." I'm like, I paid for this trip. I'm going to get the most out of it that I can. This is the alcoholic side of me being a jerk, okay? So at one point, my son, he rolled his ATV on its side. I drove by doing my best Simpsons impression. Ha ha! You know, I keep going. He gets back up and he's behind me. We let everybody get up ahead of us, and I just gun it. We both gun it. And I hit this mud hole. And I go into a turn, and my ATV just comes to a sudden halt. It just stops in the mud. I had no idea how deep this mud was, but it just come to a stop. And I went flying over the handlebars, pinwheeling into the jungle. I come back, I got sticks sticking out of my hair, my ears. I'm just a ball of mud at this point. And I get the ATV, I get back on it, get going. The tour guide comes up to me and he goes, "Hey man, are you okay?" I go, "Yeah man, I'm gold. Everything's good." And he goes, "What about that?" And I go, "What about what?" And I look down at my knee, and I've got just blood pouring out of my knee down my leg. I go, "Well the hell, that could be a problem, don't you think?" And he goes, "Yeah man, you need to head back to base right now and we'll get you fixed up. Make sure everything's okay." And I did not feel any pain in my knee whatsoever, but it was pouring blood. It was an arterial spurt, but it was just free flowing. And we've been on these ATVs for about an hour now, and these trails go all over the place. So he told me to take off, so I took off and promptly got lost. Some guy from the tour group, he comes down and finds me just tooling around through the jungle with no idea where I'm going. He goes, "Come with me, man. Follow me, follow me." And so I follow him. We get out there. There's another tour group that's getting on their ATVs and getting ready to go. And they're looking at me, and my leg at this point is just a sheet of red and blood still oozing out of it. And there's a big old gaping wound in my knee. And they're like, "Oh boy," they're looking at me like they're not sure about this trip anymore. And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. The trip is safe. It's fun. I'm just an idiot." And oh, okay. So the guys at the ATV place, they wrap up my knee and they put me in a van and they take me to the hospital. Well, at this point, we're in Jamaica, okay? And when you're doing touristy stuff in Jamaica and you're at a resort, it's all well and good. But once you get off the beaten path, like to a local hospital, there are certain things that clue you in that you are in a third world country, okay? And so they plant me in the emergency room waiting room, and I'm not kidding one bit. I'm sitting next to this lady, and she's got a goat with her. I don't know who's being treated here. If it's a lady, if it's a goat, if she's offering the goat for payment, I don't know what's going on. And I figure, hey, I'm a guest in their country. Who am I to judge? So I just let it go. So eventually they call my name and they send me back to a room. And I sit there for like a long time. It was like 45 minutes. And finally this nurse walks in and she's carrying a bone saw with her. And this bone saw, I don't know if you've ever seen a bone saw, but to me anyway, it looked very big and threatening. And she looks at me with holding this bone saw in her hand, and she goes, "Hey man, I'm looking for the American with the bad knee." I'm like, "Oh, blimey mate, he must be down the hallway." Trying to do the worst accent ever, not being American. Meanwhile, I'm running through my head what turns I took to get to this room because I'm out of here. She's talking like she's going to cut my leg off, and I ain't having it, man. I'm out of here. So I get up, and then she starts laughing, and I mean, it's not a chuckle. It's the most deep-throated big laugh you've ever heard in your life. She's, "Ha ha 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 ha! I'm only kidding you, man. This isn't for you. We're not going to cut off your leg." I relax. Okay. She ain't going to cut off my leg. All right, cool. So she takes all my vitals and stuff. The doctor, they x-ray my leg. There's nothing broken. But he said I did have severe deep bone bruise. And also I had this nasty gash. and I'm covered in jungle mud. God only knows what kind of bacteria and creepy crawlers are in this mud, but it's all over my wound, it's all over me. And so he disinfects the wound, and he disinfects it with a wet nap that you would get like at Denny's. I'm covered in mud, and he just kind of scrubs away this little white spot on my knee, and then he stitches it up. And I'm looking at this and I go, man, that ain't the way we disinfect stuff at home, but when in Rome, so I just went with it. And he pulls out this jar of pills, a little pill container, and he goes, you need to be very, very careful with this. Your knee, it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt bad. Well, no kidding, over time it had already started to throb, and it was all swollen up, and it was just a mess, and it was hurting bad. And he goes, this is very, very powerful medicine. Only take one of these every 4 hours. Do not take more than that. Very powerful medicine. I do not want you overdosing. So I'm like, okay, and you know, I'm terrified. You know, drugs kind of scare me a little bit. You know, oxys and stuff like that. They outright terrify me because I'm already an alcoholic. I don't need to get addicted to something else. And so, all right, cool. And so he wraps me up, and I get home or back to the hotel, and man, my leg is just throbbing. And we're only halfway through the vacation, but as far as I'm concerned, this vacation is done. I find myself a chair by the pool, and I tell the pool boy Raul, you know, just keep bringing me rum and coke, and maybe a sandwich every now and again, you know, but just keep them coming. And meanwhile, my family's, you know, off. Hey, we went horseback riding in the ocean today. It was fantastic. Yeah, good for you. Some guy comes off the Canadian ship. Hey, man, are you Seattle Chris? I'm supposed to have, you know, look up you for a wild time. And I'm like, there ain't no wild time here, dude. I've been benched. And so that's kind of the way the rest of my vacation went. There were a few things, you know, like that first night I got up to go to the bathroom that night, and I couldn't even put any pressure on my leg. It was I just toppled right over. It was absolutely worthless to me. I had Squirrel go out and get me a cane, and the cane turned out to be a total fiasco, but it helped for the circumstances we were in. We had to do. But it was the weirdest thing, because when we were there, my leg, it was bandaged, but it kept oozing this liquid, and the only thing I can describe it as, and if you're in the medical profession, maybe you know more about this than I do, but it was just really weird. It would like ooze this stuff, and it would almost crystallize on contact with air, and it would just chip off. It was really weird stuff. But anyway, so I'm going through all this, and all right, it's time to go. And these pain pills ain't getting it done. The doc told me were so dangerous, such powerful medicine. They ain't just getting it done. I'm taking one every 4 hours. I'm afraid to take more, but at some point I just can't take it anymore because my leg is hurting so damn bad. So I popped 3 of them. Does absolutely nothing for me. I can't believe that, you know, this is what's going on here. And so we go back to the States, and this cane my wife got me, it doesn't have a rubber tip on it. It's something that you buy in a gift shop. I don't know if it's even a real cane. But anyway, so I'm walking through the airport on the tile, and this cane keeps slipping out, and I fell a couple times in the airport. It's just a mess. So we get back to the States, and I go see my doctor immediately because things are just happening down there with my leg. It's getting all swollen up. It's about a 9-hour flight from Jamaica, and so we were on the plane all that time. I go see my doctor, my leg is all the way swollen up, and I go, by the way, doctor, take a look at these pills. What kind of painkillers are these? And he looks at me and he goes, man, you've been taking a lot of these? And I go, well, I've been taking more than, you know, he told me to take. And he goes, don't even worry about it. These are baby aspirin. Man, I wanted to punch that doctor in the face. I'd been in so much pain all this time. The doctor goes, don't worry, I'll hook you up. And he gave me some Vicodin, and that helped a whole lot. But anyway, so he goes, you need to go see another doctor immediately. In fact, you're leaving this office going straight to his. And they did a bunch of imaging on my leg, and they found just multiple blood clots because of the infection and the time I'd spent on the plane. They found all this, and so they put me on blood thinners right away. The orthopedic surgeon goes, all right, I need you here tomorrow at 7 a.m. We're doing surgery. And I go, well, that's tomorrow, doc. I kind of got things to do. And he goes, well, we can put it off till next week, and then you can come in and I'll amputate it from here on down if you'd like. And I go, you know, my schedule just suddenly cleared up. Whatever needs to be done, we'll do it. And so it is kind of a nasty surgery. All he did was cut it open, and he stuck a whole bunch of string in underneath my kneecap with a little wick sticking out. And I just pull out 2 inches of this. It just totally grossed my wife and my kids out, man. You're pulling the string out of your knee, you know, through an open wound. But the leg, I was on blood thinners for a bunch of months. The leg turned out fine. Everything's good. I still got my leg. And that's a story of ATVing in Jamaica. Anyway, if you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you want to hear more stories, hit that bell. All right, you guys, thanks for stopping by. Bye.